bountiful bust and hips. Bust and hips. Bust and hips.
Okay, today's figure review is a Figma figure of one of my favorite characters of all time, Major Motoko Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell. And this is a really cool figure. Now you can see all the things she comes with in the box. It's nice black and purple, which is pretty Motoko colors. You can get a little bit of glare, but you can see she has 2 extra faces on top of the one she comes with and some alternate hair to look more like it's blowing in the wind in action style. And then she has her weapons, and then also an extra set of breasts, and that's kind of weird, but that'll make sense in a moment. But this is the box itself, and here you got a picture of her, serious face, yelling at a Tachikoma to do something, I bet. And then here's a lot of different poses that you can have her in. Very dynamic looking. I especially like this one. This is how you usually see her in a lot of promotional art, like mid-run. Very cool. Here's another shot of her. Okay, let's take a look at the accessories. First, we have Motoko's rifle. Let's try and while it doesn't really have any sort of paint to it, it's all just the same solid piece of plastic. I guess it would look jet black anyways. I am uncertain if this anime, this is obviously Motoko from the Standalone Complex anime, if that is different than her manga version of her rifle. This is a Subaru C25. Because I'm pretty sure that's what it is, unless it was CZ5. But that doesn't sound right. C25 sounds more accurate. And the whole special thing about this particular rifle for Motoko and her team is that it doesn't really jam, and that's important, especially with cyborgs who can pull a trigger, you know, like really fast as compared to a regular human. So it's more or less based on an FNP 90, and so I really like it. And another neat little accessory is this, which is like a silencer, and you can just kind of put that there like that, and I think that's really cool, as sometimes they do use this in the show. Although I prefer the way it looks without it. I kind of like the smaller look of it. But that is really cool little inclusion. And then you have her handgun here. I don't know. Let's see if we can get this to focus. And that is also done very well. I mean, it looks exactly like it does in the show. And the actual name of her gun is kind of escaping me at the moment. And at the time of this review, my internet is shut off, so I don't have the luxury of looking it up, but I'm pretty certain her handgun is also from Subaru. It is a very nice little handgun. And then she comes with her faces. Here's like a smiling, pleasant face. This is almost like the smile she gives Bato before she hacks his brain and makes himself punch himself in the face, which is a very funny moment. And then you have her angry, serious, shouting a command or order, giving face. And that stern look is more what I'm used to seeing Motoko. Um, in the films and the show, she's not quite as silly. In the original manga, she makes a lot of really silly faces, and I really liked her sense of humor. I think only the PlayStation 1 game of Ghost in the Shell actually has her personality and mannerisms such more true to the manga than anything else.
You'll have to prove to us that you've got some guts.
And then maybe her oddest little bit of accessory is an extra pair of breasts. And basically you keep these in your pocket and you rub them for good luck every now and then. You get to like a red light, you just, give it a little rub and you say green light, green light, green light 3 times. And this will cause the light to change. So that's what this. Actually, that's not what this is. This is these if you can sort of tell, these breasts look squeezed together, and that is just so that it does not hinder her arms for certain poses. And we'll get to that when we start posing her around. But her other accessory would be some hair just to stick on the front of her, though it looks like it's blowing in the wind, or this is an explosion just happened next to her. Nice detail. She's always had a very unique hairstyle. One of the things that actually got me to buy the game Destiny was that they actually have her hairstyle in it. So my Titan actually has Motoko's hairstyle. Of course, I use a blue hair color to match the manga more than the anime. And then she has her hands and the little hand rack that you always get from a Figma figure. And so she's got a kind of open hand and more of a weapon holding hand and her fist hands all on this neat little rack so that you never lose them. I really like that. And then you also have this and this. And of course, this is just a stand, and you put these two together, and then you can put your characters in a more dynamic pose, like they're jumping through the air or they're flying or so on and such. And so this is I like the little Figma stands. Obviously more useful than the NECA stands. Probably always make that complaint. And then, as always, if there's one thing Max Factory cares about, it's whether you're getting enough to eat at work. So they give you a little baggie so that you can keep your fruit roll-ups, Nutri-Grain bars. Maybe you're on a diet and you have like those Atkins bars. Those can be kind of good. So if you're on the Atkins diet, you can keep your bag here. Obviously, that's not what this is. This is just so you can keep all your accessories so you don't lose them, and then you can just write, Motoko, so that you know whose hands, you got. And that is also very considerate. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at her articulation. Let's go ahead and put these fists down. Oops, her hair wants to kind of pop off for a second. So she can turn her head left and right, or all the way around if you want to pretend that she's been possessed. And her hair keeps wanting to come off here. Let's just take off her. No, her face is nice and stuck on there. Okay, so she's gonna look a little weird there, but just so that I don't accidentally throw it off. Yeah, so her head turns left and right. It can look down a little bit and look up a bit, not by a whole lot. And then she has a standard kind of ball joint at the shoulder. This is a pretty soft plastic, so you can bring it up a bit, but it's gonna stop a little ways. So you'd have to bring it more out to get her arm to go up. But still, nice range of motion. You can see the joint in there. But from the front, her coat actually does a nice little job of hiding it, and I like that. I really don't like to see the joints very much on a figure. And then you can see she's got her elbow joint. She can bring her arm up that much. And, oh, well, it swivels, trust me. There we go. Yeah. So she's got a swivel at the elbow. And then at her wrist, obviously her wrists rotate. And they also have a hinge as well. Her coat kind of gets a little bit in the way. But I mean, it's pretty good right there. And then of course she's got a joint. She's got a joint up here at her rib cage to allow her to turn that way. And also an ab crunch. She doesn't move back that much, and again her coat would be in the way. And then she can crunch forward a bit, but not a whole lot. But that coupled with her actual waist joint, she can, fair enough, I guess. But yeah, then she also has a waist swivel. And you can rock it all the way around. There you go. Now for the legs. She's got another ball joint there. She can, oh God, her leg fell off. Well, that's the joint, so now we can really get in there. So you can see how that works. I can't believe I just dropped that. I wasn't paying attention. This is what happens when you're looking through a viewfinder and so on. Okay, well, we'll just ignore that. Her leg comes that far forward ordinarily, and it doesn't move back very far. Of course, that's a thing, you know, female figures, they've got their ass that always kind of gets in the way of any kind of back leg movement. But I mean, how far can you move your leg back? Probably not much. So if anything, that's fine. But she can swivel it around a bit. And then at her leg, she can bend it by that much. And it also has a swivel. Not by a crazy amount, you know, but a bit. So there you go. And then, of course, the ball hinge there at her toes. And, of course, that can rotate as well. And she also has that ankle rocker if you need that. And then her toes, there's no real sculpting on the bottom of her boot, but her toes are articulated as well, though it doesn't seem like it moves. No, it moves a pretty good amount. Yeah. It was just a little stiff, but it's got a good amount of articulation there too. Now I gotta retrieve her leg. Wait. Before I forget, let's go ahead and deal with her breasts, which Motoko has very large breasts. She's designed to be very attractive in order to, now I'm not going to say seduce, but it does throw enemies off guard, when they are attracted to their enemy, and that's more or less Motoko's thing. She doesn't use her sex appeal to her advantage all that often, but every now and then she does. So that's what she looks like without it. So it's almost like she's aged down several years. There will be another Motoko based off her younger version from the new Ghost in the Shell movie, which I thought was really, really fun. So there will be that. And then you just put on her new breasts. Come on, get in there. Okay, then once you get her new breast on, you can see they're a bit more squeezed together, and the reason for that is so you can bring her arms together, or, like because if she put her arms together, her breasts would be squeezed together. That is such an interesting touch to me, that they would actually bother to include something like that. I really think that that's really neat. Still, though, you still can't get her arms to come that much more forward in. Something about action figures, despite all of the range of motion that they'll give you, is that it's very hard for a figure to take their weapon and hold it. I don't have her with her gun holding arm, but to place the actual butt of the rifle against the shoulder is just something you don't generally get. I think Motoko here could maybe do it, although technically as a cyborg she doesn't need it, as recoil and stuff isn't something that affects her the same way that it would a regular human. And let's actually consult the Bible on this one. If you're familiar with Ghost in the Shell, it's like very information heavy, and so there's lots of stuff. It's a big old glossary of terms for all of the little liner notes. And let me see where it says it. Somewhere about her gun. Okay. On page 62, it says, the pinhead referred to is, as one might assume, the ability to hit the head of a pin 100% of the time. For a short-barreled gun, 100 yards is probably the limit. I think this shooter would almost have to be a genius, but I use this figure because I don't think it's completely impossible. Of course, it's important to remember that since she's a cyborg, one can almost completely ignore FRE, forearm recoil energy. Also, this score is obtained with a high muzzle velocity gun that uses ultra-small caliber ammunition. One of the selling points of the Subaru is that it doesn't jam even when a cyborg's pulling the trigger, firing 12 rounds in 3 seconds. Okay, so that's just talking about Motoko. She's talking to Togasa about his choice of gun. He likes to use an old revolver just out of preference, when she would rather have him use the standard Subaru rifle. But yeah, so Motoko herself, she doesn't have to worry about recoil. That's so weird. Watch it. She's got no hair. Look, this looks like I broke her. This is so, it's hard to look at. But anyways, yeah, so she can ignore recoil. So like, I guess she has a canon reason why it'd be okay if she was just using one arm for that. But a lot of other figures, they don't have that ability, and so when they cannot hold their rifles like up against their shoulder, that always just kind of bothers me. But yeah, so her breasts are a part of her articulation. Really wasn't just to give her a kind of odd breast augmentation for no reason. So it serves a purpose. As far as this goes, I think it's really cool, and there's a lot of detail. I mean, for what it is, when you have these anime Figma figures, they're not gonna have so much detail and all this kind of like washes and so on, like you would with like a NECA figure, but she's still detailed enough. I really like that you can tell that like her coat is really shiny, so it's painted in a way to make you think that it's a different material than the rest of her clothes. And so this kind of detail, you know, creases in her clothes and her belt buckle, and you can see on the sides of her sleeves where little zippers would be. Just that, and having her jacket be of a softer material so that you can move it. Also, I really like that this particular set of hands, she has her fingers like open. You don't get that very much in figures. I guess it's just easier to sculpt closed fists. So like off the top of my head, I can, you know, maybe other figures I have that do this are like Marvel Legends, Scarlet Witch, uh, old Toy Biz Resident Evil, zombies. Trying to look over at my shelf here. Not well, yeah, not too many. I guess Costco also has a set of hands that are like that. There was also that Spider Woman figure. She the clone Spider Woman or whatever with the maroon costume. Anyway, so I really like that. And it's just very accurate to the way that she looks in the anime, and it does have that kind of anime look, especially the what they do with the faces, with the eyes, and so on, as well as capturing her hair and her boots. Yeah, I do wish maybe there was some detail on the bottom of her boots, but other than that, I mean, they look exactly like they should. So if I had any kind of nitpicky type of complaints, I guess it would be that the other hairpiece, the alternate like calm hairpiece or whatever, it fits really loose on my figure. Now that might just be something unique to me, and if you know anyone else, it's totally fine. But the hairpiece fits kind of loose, like it wants to fall out. And but this one, this particular set of bangs or whatever, this fits snug. This is nice. This is perfect. But the other one's a little loose, so I don't know why that is. Also, I wish that she had her gun holster in her back for her handgun, as she always has that on her. And I feel like you have to choose between, you know, one or another as to what weapon you want her to have. When I feel like it'd be really cool if she just always had the handgun in her holster. Like I would really like that. I guess I would have maybe liked some other accessories. Maybe her sunglasses, you know, like her big pink kind of visor, like Brett the Hitman Hart style, futuristic cyberpunk glasses. I would have liked that. Um, but I mean, outside of that, everything else is really, really well done. Even all the little different hands, like here's this gripping hand, and it's specifically for this rifle. And she has another hand that specifically holds on to this piece as well. And then she has, of course, another set of gripping hands that fit the handgun better, and then another kind of like cupping hand so that she's like holding like both, you know, that she's doing this like with her gun. Uh, so all of that I think is really cool. I do like the faces she came with, to have a smiling face and then just have a stern face and then have this kind of more aggressive, like she's shouting something face. So for me, this is a really, really cool figure. Everything about it, even just this rifle. I've liked this gun, you know, since I read or first saw Ghost in the Shell. I just thought it was so cool. And then any game that even has a P90, I always gravitated towards it because of the similarities to the Subaru here. So I think this is a really awesome figure. If you are into Ghost in the Shell, you should definitely try and get it. I'm really satisfied with it, despite my little nitpicky complaints. I think it's really cool. The whole having extra breasts thing, I think that's so weird. I've never seen that in a figure before, but I do think it's just like it still makes sense to me. Maybe they wouldn't be able to do that with every figure. I think, you know, the seam as to where her breasts attach, it works with this particular coat that she wears. So maybe they couldn't do it for every figure, but it does make sense, and I just think it is really neat. And I really wish that they would make more figures. That's usually not what Figma does. Figma doesn't really make like a whole line of figures. They'll just make like main characters. So I do kind of wish they made Bato in any incarnation. You know, whether it was Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence style, or from the show, or from the manga, like anything, just because I would really like to have the two of them together. I would really like it if they just made all of Section 9. That would be really, really cool to me. But either way, as a standalone figure, the standalone complex Motoko Kusanagi, I think, is just amazing. Hey, I almost forgot to mention another little bit of detail that, yeah, you really couldn't see with the hair being in the way when I was rotating the figure earlier. That in addition to like the little zippers and stuff on her sleeves, another really great piece of detail is the back of her neck. You can see those ports where she would, you know, like jack into whatever it might be. If she has to hack a car and drive cars with her cyber brain, or hack someone else's cyber brain, or any of the, you know, uh, cyber warfare that Motoko is a specialist in requires, they actually did sculpt that too. And I think it would have been a really easy thing to overlook. So I'm really glad that that they at least have that there. So I think that's really, really cool. Okay, so overall, I think that this is a really, really cool figure. It's really special to me because it is Motoko Kusanagi. And as far as characters go, she is one of my all-time favorite female characters. And I guess like in fiction, or I guess as far as animated works are concerned, she's like my most favorite. I guess another favorite fictional female character of mine is Ellen Ripley. But I think Ellen Ripley and Motoko Kusanagi are two amazing characters, and so they're definitely high on my list. But yeah, in terms of anime and stuff, I put Mochiko first, and it's just when I was young, when I was in elementary school, I was maybe in 5th grade, right? And I saw a picture. I saw a picture of Ghost in the Shell, and I didn't know what it was. It's actually this picture. I saw this picture, and I think I saw it in a magazine or something. It might have been there was a magazine way, way back in the day. Like I said, I was in elementary school, called Flux, and it was kind of like comic books, but also video games, but then also music. That's how I first found out about like Marilyn Manson before Sweet Dreams came out, and that band became really popular. There's a magazine called Flux, and I think I saw this picture in it. And I didn't know what it was. It doesn't say Ghost in the Shell. It doesn't say Motoko Kusanagi. It doesn't say, you know, Kokaku Kirotai. Like, nothing. It's just her, you know, laying on top of this machine. And it just struck a chord with me. Now, you can say, well, it's sexy. You know, look how she's got her top open. But I was like a 5th grader. I don't think I had any kind of sexual feelings or whatever towards women, you know, alive or fictional. So I really don't think that that's, you know, what drew me to the picture. There was just something about it, and I couldn't get it out of my head, and I didn't know what it was. And I knew that it was Japanimation, right? At least back in the day, that's what they used to call, well, everything that looked like this, you know, Japanimation. And it wasn't until I had a cousin who was in the Navy, and he was stationed in Japan, and when he came back and he was like, "Oh, you like this?" And I was like, well, yeah." And that's when he was like, "Oh well, it's not called Japanimation over there. You're not gonna want to say that if you're over there. It's called anime." And then he, taught me some things about Japanese culture. So I was kind of exposed to this stuff when I was very young. Now there was other anime things back then at the time, like Sailor Moon, and before Dragon Ball came out, it was like before Dragon Ball came out on Cartoon Network and became really popular over here. You could watch it in Spanish, and I used to watch a lot of anime in Spanish, like Ranma and Cardcaptor Sakura and stuff like that. But in the beginning, to me, anime was just like Fist of the North Star and Sailor Moon, whatever. So it wasn't really something that it was something I guess I thought was cool, but I didn't really like get hooked or anything like that. But when I saw that picture of Motoko, I was like, oh man, I don't know, like I'm really into this now, and that's what got me into anime, and that's what got me into cyberpunk, and those are real big genres for me. So, and friends that I've made over the years are, I made them through stuff like anime and talking about anime and that sort of thing. Um, so I always love having anything to do with Motoko. So this figure is really, 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 really cool. It's actually, to me, pretty special.